folks, just when you thought it was safe, we're back.
We're here.
Your weekly shot of baldness-inducing
Yes.
discussion. As a general point, we would love some more subscribers.
We would.
As much as we value views, it's nice to know we've got a few more people out there. So all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. Also, if you like it as well, because we're trying to grow the audience of the podcast, and it means we keep doing them if we're speaking to hundreds of thousands of people.
Yes.
So spread the word, people. Spread the word.
Boldness everywhere.
We're very grateful. And if we do get more subscribers, then we can get merchandise. You can have T-shirts with balders written on them, our favourite catchphrases and stuff. So yeah, exactly. It all starts from there. So that's nice. Okay, so today is our usual bizarre platter.
The platter.
Platter of topics.
That's it. It's a
buffet. It is a buffet of delights.
Yes.
But you're going to start.
I am. I'm going to start because I read a report this week, and I think it was from a Chinese research station, and they were saying that
high quality source.
Oh, very good. Oh, yes, it's been peer reviewed.
Absolutely.
Peer reviewed, and for 10 years, and they're now saying that we've all heard this before, that tea and coffee is good for you, and it's good. It's good for your art, right? It's good for your art.
I've heard that.
Well, tea's supposed to be good for you.
Yeah, I've heard a lot more.
And this is tea and coffee. And coffee. This is the new one. Tea and coffee, and it's good for dementia. That it protects those little kind of cells there.
Was this really funded by Nescafe or?
No, I expect it was a Chinese government. I expect, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, the thing is, they've got a big population, and I suppose they've got a big aging population. So, I mean, there's always been this thing about green tea. I mean, come on, you and I, we love our cafes. Yeah. We live there.
Yeah, a lot of herbal tea.
A lot of herbal. I mean, and we like Blue Sky, which is a kind of a variation on. I suppose it's a queer form of Earl Grey, isn't it? Really. Well, you know what I mean. It's a kind of. Well, no, but it's a bit different, isn't it? It's got a whole unusual, but it's also got a kind of a bit more a rainbowy of different kind of flavours there. You know what I mean?
I don't think that, but I drink it. But now you've said it, I'll have to think that.
Can I have some queer Earl Grey?
Actually, can you imagine that? How awesome that'd be if you look into it, it was actually the colours of the rainbow. That was sick.
Oh yeah. I used to have a place like that when I lived in Amsterdam. Yeah. Anyway, so back to this tea. So it's supposed to be good for the art, but you see, I question the thing about coffee because I'm
coffee is a stimulant, and actually, to be fair, tea has
stimulant.
Tea has an aspect of that, but it's very, very small.
Well, you see, there's always this confusion. Have you noticed that there's a confusing and misinformation? So people say, "Here, don't drink that," and you say, "Why?" Oh, that's got caffeine in it, and you're drinking green tea. Yeah. And so I didn't know green tea had caffeine. Oh yes, it's got lots of caffeine. And then someone says, "Oh no, that's got tannin in." So but that's a good caffeine.
Yeah.
It's so confusing half the time. You know what I mean? So this is an interesting study because I think that it didn't say necessarily black tea. Because I drink a lot of green tea, I drink a lot of rhubarb because caffeine makes me incredibly high. Yeah. I mean, I'm off my wall now, but I mean,
that's what the bar does that.
Oh, I know that. But the thing is,
imagine the result of
now interesting with this. Years ago, when I used to be a window cleaner, before I was an academic, I love saying that. I used to be. It is from ladders to boards. Yeah. There you go. So when I used to be a window cleaner, all the old dears always used to give me cups of coffee. Now I can't take coffee; I get very high.
So whilst you're out on the rickety scaffold, they were like,
oh, I used to be up 3 stories. I did Wells Cathedral once, and I was up about 50 feet cleaning windows. And I started getting dizzy. I got a fear of ladders though. I got a fear of ladders. Anyway, and I was going all dizzy. So then they had to get another ladder up next to me and help me down. All right. I was just going dizzy, but I went bright red. And then on another occasion, I went for an interview in Amsterdam for a job, and I had a cappuccino, and my whole body was so red I had to sit in a cold bath in the middle of December. So the point is that for me, coffee is like a poison. It's a little bit of good. So I think the tea aspect would interest me. But I wonder, see, with chocolate, the reason I like chocolate is because it's got endorphins, isn't it? It's like bananas and strawberries.
I mean, I'm not a neuroscientist, so someone
knows. No, you're not. No. You pretend to be, but you're not.
No, I don't pretend to be. with the caffeine stuff, I think it like hits your nervous system quite badly. Like I genuinely, I cannot remember the actual last time that I had an actual coffee. Like I know we've had like some quite, we've been out like the sort of like latte things, but they tend to be quite milk dominant. But I can't even remember like the last time I actually sat down because I've just got quite a not nervous, but like I'm quite kinetic and energetic.
Yeah, so I'm quite hyper.
So for me to have more of that, I don't actually need it. I don't even use it as a pick me up. Like I know some people in my department, they will have coffees just to get on. I don't even have that. No.
I mean, the thing is, chocolate. I mean, I fought very hard on campus to get some really tough, high chocolate content, 100% cocoa. Because I like it. It's good for me. Like we're talking about this stuff for coffee and tea. Now, for me, dark chocolate. It's good for people like me.
Still 100% chocolate.
Down on campus. Yeah. Down in the public. All good advertising, really. Yeah. But I mean, I have the strong stuff because one is good for people with ME. It makes me more focused. I'm more bouncing around. I don't get the fatigue so much. But as I said earlier on, I tell my students to use it for study because I find myself more focused, especially with the ADHD. But more importantly, you see, it's like sex. That you've got endorphins. So you've got chocolate, bananas, and strawberries. And I tell you, you eat them all. You have all them at the same time. You're turned on all day. It's great for teaching. You're just dancing around, smiling. Yeah. It's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. I tell you, my students convinced I'm high. I think I'm on chocolate. Mm-hmm. So that's the beauty of it. But no, this study's interesting. I'll be interested to look at it more to see if it applies to other teas.
So what was the overall kind of consensus?
The consensus was that one, it can have a 28% increase in protecting you from getting dementia. It's good for protecting the heart and basically general over health. I mean, it's always been used as a stimulant, tea has. And they always say, but they're saying that you should be having something like 3 to 4 cups a day.
Well,
tea.
We definitely have that on Saturday.
We do, don't we? We do. What do we go through on a Sunday? We used to go through about 2 or 3 pots, don't we? Yeah, there you go. And that's after the hot chocolate.
Yeah, and then on the toilet the rest of the day afterwards.
Well, running to the toilet for the rest of the day afterwards, my dear. I tell you honestly, it's like a runaway train. We're everywhere, aren't we? Honestly, running around. So yeah, so that was an interesting one, I thought. But I thought it fit in very well with his idea of drinking tea and coffee. But no, it's a hot. I mean, I tell my students, seriously, because a lot of them have fatigue, and I say to them, here, come on, have a hot chocolate and put a strawberry in it.
Mm-hmm. I think, a lot of it also is diet. A lot of students eat famously badly.
Holy crap.
Or cheap food, cheap, nasty, empty calories. But yeah, no, there's something. I mean, I like to have a herbal tea, like a mint tea or something. Mm-hmm. At night time, if I'm a bit jittered, I'll like a valerian or something to kind of calm
down. I have the 3 mints.
Yeah,
I have the 3 mints and it calms me down.
It's funny because they do like when I go into like Sainsbury's, they have like a massive range of stuff, like the cranberries, the nettle stuff, the orange, and there's loads of different ones out there.
You see, I think we've had this conversation before, haven't we, regarding some of these lovely tea names. Now, when we go down on our Saturday, we always have our, what was it called? Dragonwell, which I love.
Yeah.
Dragonwell.
I actually prefer Blue Sky, I think.
Yeah, I know, but the green tea is different, isn't it? One's a normal one. But the one that we've got to try yet, that I used to buy, that I love, and I think it's the best name for a tea, is the Iron Goddess of Mercy.
Yes, I remember you saying.
The Iron Goddess, and it's really expensive. I love that. The Iron Goddess of Mercy.
Yeah. It sounds almost painful, but...
Well, supposedly a soldier from war found this plant and he picked it up, made a cup of tea with it, and bingo. He didn't kill anyone else.
Yeah. Lovely.
Right, on killing, let's carry on now to the Eternals.
I suppose that's a reasonable segue.
I'm good at segues.
A lot of people do die in that movie.
That's what I'm saying. Lots of killing. Yeah. Go on.
Eternals I saw, so I try and see a film a week. This week I'm seeing the re-release of Rocky IV on Saturday for one day in the cinema. There I am.
You are.
And I'm going to get my fitness mate to go along because we're like both Dolph Lundgren nerds, so that's going to be good.
I'm not dressed up as Dolph Lundgren, but put a wig on.
As Dolph Lundgren.
Wig on. Put your blonde wig on.
Once upon a time, that was one of my goals in life, was to have a flat top head. And I did for a couple of years, and then I started losing it.
Didn't last very long.
But I won't get a rug. I won't wear a rug. It's tempting, but I think it will blow off in the wind in Lancaster. So anyway, so I saw Eternals. Eternals is 2 hours and 37 minutes long. It's a long movie, yeah. It's also got a bit of flack recently, sort of dividing critics in the terms of the fact that it's very kind of diverse because there's kind of LGBTQ kind of characters.
Everyone's in it.
Yeah, lots of different cultures, which is great to see, by the way. You know, I thought that was brilliant. But the narrative framework that these characters occupy is quite generic. Okay. But I think in some ways it's a bit of an unfair criticism because I just think the superhero genre is just getting knackered because every movie has to have an end of world threat. Now, and the thing is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not like super like comic book nerd, but I'm certainly kind of in the middle. And even for me now, to go to a movie and watch the latest thing about how there's a sky beam or a portal or how the Earth's going to explode or whatever, there's always some huge end of world threat. Exactly, yeah. So Eternals, they have that same issue where you have a dysfunctional group of eternal beings who get over their various dilemmas. There's obviously some tragedies along the way. They spoilers, by the way. They end up coming together last minute to vanquish this latest planetary threat. They tried something a bit different in the sense that the planetary threat actually comes from within. So the Earth was going to explode because there was a seed of a monster or something that was going to burst out of it. So there's some great shots where it was starting to emerge and the hands were like as tall as skyscrapers coming out of the sea. So that was quite cool. And I think it's because we're now so kind of saturated with the superhero structure that I think people are quite critical. I was just thinking, had this been released maybe 10 years ago, before Avengers Endgame, before everything else, I think it might have got maybe a slightly more positive reception. Also, it's hard to top Thanos clicking his fingers and destroying half the world's population. I mean, that's a big deal, you know. And I think it must be difficult to try and top that with each Marvel.
It can't do very well.
No.
And also, Thanos was.
Yeah.
You can't
he was very convincing. Josh Brolin done a great job with that.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
very
good. So a bit of a mixed bag on that front. But that being said, there's something I quite liked about it. I like the fact there were some really brilliant characters. There was these two Indian guys, and one of them. He was quite a late addition to the team, but he carried a video camera with him, and his boss is a Bollywood star. And every time there was an action scene, he'd joke and say, "Did you get that?" And he'd be like, "Yes, I got it." And he'll be like hiding from behind a tree with a video camera. And every action scene was punctuated with the humour of this guy videoing it on whatever camera he could find because he kept getting his cameras broken. So there was kind of that humour aspect to it. There were some interesting ideas about. One of the Eternals, played by Angelina Jolie, done quite a good job. She suffered from mad weary, which is, I guess, sort of a superhero's form of dementia, in that she's lived so long, but her memory's kind of glitching and stuff like that. So she keeps thinking she has to battle people all the time. So it kind of tried to push it in, a couple of new areas. The cast was very diverse. It was nice to see Salma Hayek in a role. She's a goddess in real life, so putting her in a film about goddesses was perfect casting. It's nice to see.
And you've got the guy Madden as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's great.
Right, Madden. He is a great actor, and I loved him in The Bodyguard. In this movie, he says every line as if it's like a spiteful insult. Like if you watch it, he's like, "You can't do that. We're running out of time." Every line is delivered exactly as a sound.
Oh, is it?
He's like a discount sort of Superman, but just really miserable. So I didn't chime with him.
So manic depressive then,
as Eternal, yeah.
So you've got one with dementia, one with manic depressive. Do you know it? That's quite inclusive with physical and learning differences. Then I like that. That's good. Any in wheelchairs?
No.
Oh, it's a shame.
I don't think so.
Not that inclusive then.
No, but they've got a deaf superhero.
Oh, that's good.
They do some sign language.
Both ears or one ear?
I don't know.
Oh, right, okay.
No, they were doing sign language and stuff like that.
That's good. So it's good.
Anyway, so I think it's difficult because you don't want to see it as like a stunt.
No.
And I think overall, I felt that they weren't pushing it into the stunt territory too much. It felt about right. Okay.
And the director, of course, was
Nomadland.
Nomadland, yes.
Chloe some.
Yes.
Nomadland. Yeah.
That's right.
Nomadland's of Frances McDormand, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good movie.
Fantastic movie. Yeah. She's done that.
So yeah, I think and she's one of the few female directors to be given the keys to the Marvel kind of playroom, as it were, and stuff. So no, I think overall I'm mixed about it, but I support what it was trying to do. Some of the effects were really good. The fights were good. The idea that these Eternals were created by this being to effectively terraform the Earth, and then they come to collect centuries later to destroy the Earth and pick out their seed. I thought was an interesting concept. Then lots of well done flashbacks to like the Babylonian era to explain what the Eternals were doing then, and the backstory about how they try not to interfere with human affairs. So that kind of like heavenly ethereal figures, which I've always been interested in. So yes, overall it's good. Like I said, my next one will probably be the Rocky IV re-release just for one day on Saturday, so it's just one evening showing, which I'll do. And then I'm probably going to do June actually next week. Me and my friend have been trying to do it for ages.
Right. Well, we've got to discuss June, because I remember I'm that generation. I remember the original with Anyway, I remember that years ago, and I loved it. I loved June. Of course, Sting was in the original.
Yeah.
So we must discuss that at the time.
Yeah, I'll be able to do it better when I've seen it next week.
Yeah.
Because you've seen the original.
I have, and we can talk about that.
Although it's much sort of kind of maligned though, isn't it? Because it's regarded as crushing too much into one movie, isn't it?
Yes. The original was. Because they'll make 2 or 3 movies for the new one, don't they?
Yeah. So there's that I was going to see, and then there's a few films coming out. I mean, The Matrix is my biggest one in December. That's going to be like my year complete. 22nd of December, I'm going to be right in there.
Yeah.
Seeing that movie. So, just an anecdote. So I dress up for like house parties.
You do. Yes.
I think I'm catching up because I normally do it at Comic Con, but I haven't do Comic Con.
But you've got alternate personalities, haven't you? Got a dark Spider-Man.
I have, yeah.
And a light side.
I have. So for the house party last week, I attended as a Halloween Black Spider-Man on Halloween, and I decided to complete the set by going as a red and blue Spider-Man last week, which they loved because I knocked on the door at 11 o'clock. They opened it up, and there's red and blue Spider-Man. So they thought it was brilliant. They thought it was all like staged. I was like, no, this is just how I do Halloween fancy dress parties. Had a great time, got some pictures, and that's why I like doing it because it surprises people. And then and I put a lot of attention to detail on the costumes. They're very authentic, and it's just a great way to spend an evening. But anyway, what the point of this is like the actual power of the superhero itself. So when I left my house, one of my neighbours was saying goodbye to her girlfriend who came over for the evening, and they saw me in the red and blue Spider-Man outfit. I was wearing the whole thing. I was wearing the mask as well, and they kind of stopped what they were doing and came over and started talking to me and sort of laughing and joking. And then one of them announced that they were leaving and did I want a lift? So I was like, perfect. So I was like, great. So I got driven up to quite close to where the house party was. I thanked them and left. And anyway, but the point is, so literally by the power of going out as a superhero, I got a free lift. So that was the first thing. I then had a great time at this party. And then on the way back, I was walking through town. And I had people like try and give me high fives and get selfies and stuff like that. And one girl by a taxi rank, she wanted to have a picture, so I posed with her, took a picture. I was then walking down the street, and some woman who I think was highly intoxicated ran towards me and grabbed me by the face with the mask on and forcibly snogged me on the lips, actually biting my lip as well. And I was a bit taken aback, but I was like, okay. And she told me, just life stuff, just all kind of came out, and she kept calling me Peter, obviously Peter Parker, and
it's amazing how we reveal yourself.
Yeah, I know, it's a complete stranger. Yeah, we should keep in touch, and and I was like, I was saddened actually by it, but I was also flattered and like amazed by simply wearing this costume. And who knows? I mean, I'd like to think that by me just walking down that street for 10 minutes, I managed to spread a bit of joy or happiness to people. And it was quite a weird experience. I felt kind of, I was moved by it actually. Not like sad, but I was just like, it wasn't what I was expecting. I mean, I've done it before. Like I went at Comic Cons, but the thing is at Comic Cons, you expect to be appreciated because you're part of that community. But for me just to walk down Lancaster High Street at 1 o'clock in the morning and have that response, I was quite taken aback. So the power of costumes.
Interesting that. Kind of my experience of that years ago was I was walking up Lancaster High Street one evening to meet two friends of mine, two female friends of mine. And anyway, I'm there, and of course, I looked like Doctor Who. I had a big Tom Baker Doctor Who with a great big floppy hat and a big scarf. And just the way I don't dress normally. I wasn't going to any party, just the way I normally dress. You know how I dress. I can dress in that bizarre way. So I'm there, walking, and I was waiting there, just propped up against a shop, a pillar. And there was a lot of kids there, about 16, 17. And they said, here, you Doctor Who. And I said, no. Well, you look like Doctor Who. I said, well, that's nice of you. They said, is that your TARDIS, you standing next to? He said, they thought they were being funny. You know, a lot of little emos and goths, you know, all sitting there. Anyway, this is what he was standing next to. I'm just next to a pillar of a porch for a. Oh, okay. So, but I'm just standing there relaxing. But I had all the gear on. What they thought was Doctor Who. Anyway, big floppy hat. And the earrings in. Anyway, next minute, these two friends come up, and they did look very attractive, blonde hair. They were both from the Balkans, and they came up all in black. And they went, oh, hello, Davey. And anyway, so, you know, greeting, kiss, you know, on either's cheek, you know, friends. So I woke up, and I've got one on one arm, I've got one on tire, walking up, and they look like Doctor Who's assistants, right? And the faces of all these kids were absolutely like, just gobsmacked. And one seemed to be clever, and she said, trying to be clever. She said, here, she said, are those your assistants? And I said, how did you guess that then? I said, here, you know what they say about the TARDIS, don't you? She said, what? This is a lot bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, eh? And I winked at them, and the two girls I was with went, oh, and the three of us walked up, and these kids were going, oh, what we just experienced here. So it was absolutely hysterical. So, you know, it's funny with that, you know, you can have some of time. And when I've been Doctor Who, I've been manhandled, or woman-handled. Yeah. I've been manhandled as well. I've been just grabbed me, Doctor Who. I've been carried about. I've been carried about. You know, I'm little, been picked up.
I've done a Spider-Man thing before, actually, I was just remembering, and with some friends, and down a particularly notorious street in Norwich, and I got pinched. My mum got pinched by about 2 or 3 different women. Yeah. Just because it was there, it was available. They just decided to do it.
Oh, no problem. Let's pinch it.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's weird, isn't it? The costume thing. What it does to people.
You see, you're easy pickings when you dress up in Spider-Man. Doctor Who, everybody's there, don't you?
I need to be in good shape. I'm not no champion, but I did get compliments in terms of how I fit the figure of Spider-Man. I didn't, because there's no fat on me, you know.
And you see, I don't have that bother to be Doctor Who.
Yeah, you could just wear giant, massive coats.
Yeah, I can be as flabby as I want, and I can just cover it all up.
Well, so to put in perspective, this thing I was wearing is actually tailored to fit my exact body dimensions.
Oh my God!
It's I have to zip myself into it. Oh. It's a 2-piece bodysuit, the mask, and then the whole body. So yeah, you have to be in good shape, and it does, even though it's that tight, if you're out too long or if it gets wet, it's not particularly pleasant. When you're inside, it's fine, but yeah. So, but yeah, dressing up, it's I don't know. I think it's quite liberating. I think if you go as a character, I think it can have an unexpected effect on people, which by and large, most of it's positive, I think.
Oh yeah, I was when I was like looking like Doctor Who or whatever. I mean, the thing is, when I was dressed up, so I look quite party sometimes, you know, my West Country heritage. But when I dress up, I must admit, I just go out, I got my scarf on my head, and you know, got my earrings in. Oh, always been friends. Always been friends.
I think it trickles down to a more subtle level. because when I come to university, like the stuff that I wear, it is a bit more formal than I would maybe do at home, because it's kind of like a costume for me, because it makes me, I guess more formal, professional.
Yes.
I tend to do it.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that's right. And I think the thing is that when I dress up, when I just like wearing the clothes that I do, you know, it gives me power. It gives me that sense of feeling strength. And also I found sometimes when I've been in low parts of my life that dressing up and whatever that dressing up could be can be a tool to empower you to get over that difficult thing. I was always taught that because I love clothes, as you know. Yeah. And you know, I mean, we had a thing in class some last year, and I dressed up in my steampunk stuff, and they went absolutely bonkers. They loved it. They were all posing with me, and they were writing back, "Dear Mum, here's our teacher. You got a top hat on, a pair of glasses on. He's absolutely bonkers. But we love him, And this is the thing, and I think it begins to change the dynamic, doesn't it? It changes the dynamic of a situation. It makes it less serious and also more accessible. And I think that's what it's about. Accessibility.
And I think the average person, like, they might not meet Spider-Man costume that close up.
No.
Apart from films, when you see them, they won't really see them anywhere else.
Oh.
And to have one that close and to get a picture, it seems like a wasted opportunity not to do it. But yeah, the whole costume stuff, I was just thinking back, the 2 Spider-Man ones that I've done have always kind of provoked some kind of reaction. I think my dream costume would be doing like a full proper Batman, but that costs quite a lot of money.
I think Superman
would be good.
That'd be good. Be interested to see what different reaction and what type of people will come up and grab you.
I think if I was a bald Superman, probably not. I think I'd have to Henry Cavill to get as much of it. Because that's the advantage with Spider-Man is you're fully costumed.
Of course,
I think with Superman, I need a black wig and a black haired wig and stuff. So I don't think I could pull that off very well.
No.
Batman, because it's just the
Batman is fine.
I've got a nice, they call it a Cupid bow shaped lip, so I could probably do that quite well. So you got a story about some roles.
Very quickly.
Right, so from dressing up as Batman to roles, I can't even make a link between that really, unless. No, I can't actually.
No, let's do the thing anyway. Right, this is a funny little ditty because I'm now on this. I've gone from brat to FODMAP diet, which is kind of
summarise what a FODMAP diet is.
It's basically it's lots of foods that don't give you wind.
Right.
So beans, for example. Okay, so cut off the beans and cabbage.
Beans eating. No. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just kind of trying to cut back on certain foods. So I was up in a well-known supermarket cafe the other day, and I was up in Kent, up in the Lake District. Lovely up there, lovely. And I was in there having this soup, and my wife said, "Oh, let's get some soup." So we got the soup, and we're waiting for it to be delivered to us. Mm-hmm. And this comes the manageress, she's ever so sweet, comes along. She says, "Here you go, my dears." And she puts down this big tray. And I went, "Hang on a minute." And there was a pack of 4 rolls. Now, you only have 1 roll with your soup. You don't have 4. There's a pack. Yeah, there's an unopened pack, right? Unopened pack. And I thought, ooh. And she said, I said, "Well, I only want 1, my dear."
Only one break half.
Yeah. I said, "I want 1." Oh, she said, "We're not allowed to open it, I said, "Why?" She said, "Health and safety." I said, "So do you give everyone who's gluten intolerant a bag of 4 rolls?" She said, "Yes."
Oh my God.
Can you imagine the amount of rolls? And they said, "Can you imagine the manager going, do you know, we must have a lot of people who are gluten or wheat intolerant around here." So that was it. But you see, so then I have 3 rolls then for the next 3 days for each of my soups. And I said to my wife, I said, "Here, I said, there's a con here we can play." She said, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, if I go into this place," I said, "on a Monday," and I said, "I can then get rolls from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday." And I said, "That's the way to do it, But no, she thought it was really fun. I was gobsmacked, absolutely gobsmacked.
And that's actually a directive from on high that they can't open it.
They can't open the packet.
Will they do anything else?
I don't know.
Oh, hang on. So if they take it down to letters, do they open normal rolls? Do they open?
Rolls are fine because I suppose I don't know. See, there's this contradiction because you asked her.
So are they saying you can't open it because it's a gluten free and they only want you to touch it?
Yeah.
No, I've got no idea.
I don't know. That's it. That's it. I'm going to have to research this.
Yeah.
Because that happened at the weekend, but I was absolutely gobsmacked.
Oh well, okay. I suppose if they're working in an environment where they've got rolls and they touch them and do that,
they can cross.
If they were to, yes, there we go. We've solved the mystery.
Mind you, as a gluten-free intolerant, I think it's absolutely Christmas.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Oh, yeah.
But that makes sense because if they're touching a roll and then they opened your bag and they gave it to you, you could have reactions.
Yes.
So, okay. I suppose that's why they have to be super safe.
Yes.
Okay. Damn. There we go. So potentially 3 rolls. 3 free rolls.
3 free rolls.
Yeah.
3 free rolls.
3 free rolls. Yeah.
Yes. There you go.
There we go. So from
tea and coffee
to Eternals to dressing up
It was 3 rolls. Yeah.
It's always a wild one on board.
It is, my dear. On boulders, you can't get more diverse than that. We are very diverse here, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
We are.
And we're 10 years links between.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
Purge completed.